I'm only taking one step at a time towards healing myself. I had to get out, I found a way out. No more living in pain or misery. It's all about protecting my energy. Keep the negative away from me, because I am just keeping my peace. Cut off everything that no longer was serving me, and I chose to start loving myself. I walk in my purpose, no looking back, I'm only going with it. B.O. standing there, a better version of me. I must say that I'm proud of me. It's not about how you feel, I'm living proof that God is real. So let me show you how to heal. Damn it, I'm wearing it well, cause I came a long way. My journey isn't yet complete, that's what it look like to heal. Damn it, I'm wearing it well, I'm proud of myself. It's nothing to it, you can do it, all you gotta do is just fight through it. Creative soul, creative soul, creative soul. Just fight through it. Creative soul, creative soul, creative soul, creative soul, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Pain to Purpose podcast, where we have open discussions to heal together as a community. Today, we have Ms. Hudson with us for episode 4, and this month is Autism Awareness, so she's going to educate us on today. Welcome, Ms. Hudson.
Welcome. Hello, everyone. My name is Tamara Hudson. I'm currently a special education teacher. I've been in education for about 15 years now. I'm currently also a national board certified teacher as well. I have several masters, but my love and passion is my special ed stars, my scholars in special education. I've been doing a lot of advocacy with parents in my classroom, just making sure they understand the importance of they are their students' first teacher, along with their advocate as well.
Okay, sounds great. So can you give us some gems, some information that will help people out here that maybe they have questions about autism, or they think their child may be autistic?
Okay. So everyone, this is a big subject, especially in our African-American community, due to the fact like a lot of our students sometimes are either diagnosed late or misdiagnosed. So autism, or the autism spectrum disorder, that's a big range, because you have some that's moderate, some that's high functioning student kids. So it just refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by either challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, things of that sort. But autism doesn't discriminate. So with our African-American kids, a lot of times they just see those behaviors and immediately go to, oh, they have some type of emotional behaviors, or they have is due to trauma, which it may be, but there's certain signs, like especially with the repetitive behaviors, that as parents we must look for. So just like picky eating, or that repeated behavior, like if it's they always have to run in circles, sometimes they stem, meaning they flap their hands, they could repeat words, they could flick on lights, just some type of repeated behavior that's not maybe normal at that age. I do tell parents also to make sure they read up on and study the behaviors, especially when it comes to like just know the age requirement. So we know maybe by 5 years old, they should be knowing their name. They may not know their first and last name, but they should know. So sometimes the delay in speech, if they're not talking, if they're not saying certain words, those could all be factors in getting your kid proper diagnosed. Sorry.
Okay. So what happens if a child is in school but they're misdiagnosed? Does that happen a lot?
Well, yes, sometimes only because in education, we have to look at the educational environment. We can't make a medical diagnosis. So educational will look at those behaviors and be like, well, they may be at grade level. They could be, they're reading, they're writing, but then they may have like, they play away from their friends. They don't, or not friends, but their classmates. They don't have friends. They may be loners. So that could also be a sign that they have some form of autism, but they just may be high functioning and they need some behavior support. Or if loud noises come about, they can't be around loud noises, or they have sensory issues with textures, sounds, light. So when that does come about in this school environment, we could only focus on what affects that student academically. But once the school, say for instance, the parent comes in with a medical diagnosis, there are supports that we can have, but sometimes parents feel like, oh, the school just gave up or the school doesn't understand. It's because some of those behaviors they see at home, we don't see in the school environment because it's more structure, along with like because of the structures in place, we don't see those behaviors, or the behaviors is not as severe as they are at home because of the structure environment. Like they have a time schedule. They would know they know each step of the day. And then sometimes when there are interruptions, that may be when we see those behaviors, but we redirect students normally. It's not that, and I can't say like all school may not be misdiagnosed, but the first thing, if we see behaviors, they don't look at autism diagnosis. They usually look at other factors. Maybe it's other health impairment. But if the parents read up on it, like educate themselves, that really would help them move the diagnosis further. But usually, sometimes as well, you have to ask your pediatrician to look in it. Sometimes they do like, oh, let's wait, let's play the waiting game. But remember, you're your student, I keep on saying student, you're your child's advocate. You know what's best for your kids, so you have to speak up. But I will also say to educate yourself as well, because when they do come into the school setting, there is a lot of things that hold schools back because we have to follow law, and because we don't usually we can't give those medical diagnoses. We only do educational wise.
So what if a child cannot stand like the loud noise? What if that bothers them? Well, we know school is loud, so how do we help them with that?
So when you know your child has certain triggers or tricks, like inform the school, because there are things in place, especially like if you don't have a diagnosis, but you know they have sensory issues, you could request for a 504 plan to get those accommodation. It may not be an IEP per se, but the school is obligated, and there are strategies for the school to put in place, like those sound, it's these headphones that reduces the sound so they won't do it. Or they have covers now that we could put over lights to help the students, or we dim the lights as well too. But again, if you know these things about your child, just make sure you inform the school, like communicate with the school, because they do want partnerships with the school, with the parents. And you guys know best, but just some of those strategies just to try, especially when it comes to the noise or the eating, because they have a strict diet. So sometimes we may have to like sit them away from the kids, or if you need the school to provide the food, we do need like a doctor's note stating that, so we could put those orders in if it's something food related, or of course you could always pack your own lunch for your student.
Okay. So, Ms. Hudson, for the parents that haven't gotten their child diagnosed yet, but they think something may be going on, can you explain to them what an IEP is and what the 504 is?
Okay, so an IEP is basically a legal document. It goes over, it's like their individual, IEP is an individual educational program for your student. So with that being said, we test your student to see where they ability levels in all their subject areas. Math, reading, writing is usually the content areas of math, reading, writing. Some has social skills. We do have like functional language. So there are different things that falls under the IEP. Is 13 disabilities that a kid could qualify under, which it is one of them is autism. So the IEP will then, after we test your kid to see where their levels are, we base their educational plan based off their ability level. So those goals will help them meet their needs. It's more focused to their needs. They do get exposed to some grade level curriculum because they are in the classroom. Either if they're in a gen ed program, they do have gen ed curriculum, everything, and then they may get pull-out services depending on the IEP. There's certain services. So we assess them, we develop goals based off those assessments and the student needs. We give them accommodations, and then we set minutes. With that, the minutes, it could be either in a least restrictive, more restrictive, or like in a gen ed environment. Whereas the 504 is basically just accommodations. So if your kid is academically on grade level, but maybe, and they have some friends, but they only pertain to certain friends, but you want them to be more socialized, like participate more, or if they need more time to respond, because when they're called on, they like stray away from that. Also, it's different things you could ask for accommodations for. If even if it's for the sensory issues, you probably want the 504 to provide that. So the school will be responsible for providing with the headphones, or I'm trying to think of something else that it could be, but accommodations could be anything that is going to make your kid successful. A hundreds chart could be on that. Going to the nurse's bathroom instead of a regular the kids' bathroom, because maybe they are in fear of interacting with those peers or something of that sort. But any accommodations that you use at home and that could be transferred at a school setting could go into a 504 plan, as long as it's reasonable. Now, if we say you want him to have a certain type of seat or like a cushion seat, we can afford like cushions. There's certain things that's we have to take in consider. That's what's reasonable and what's not. But when it comes to like 100 chart, more time, headphones, certain things of that aspect, just to give an example, are some things that will go into a 504. So that means they could interact with their gen ed peers using being involved in the curriculum, but they need some supports for that. Whereas an IEP is meaning they may be behind their peers in the gen ed setting, but need more instruction. So they need a special education teacher, maybe a speech pathologist, or some OT, occupational therapy services, things of that sort, additional to the services being to the gen ed curriculum. So those are the kind of the two difference. I know it was a long spill, but
it's well needed though.
Okay.
Well needed.
Yes.
So what about some educational toys that parents can use at home with their children?
Well, when it comes to that varies on your kid and what they may want. Because sometimes they probably just want, like, they line up cars. So it's just you learning your kid. If they're fixated on like superheroes, try to get little superheroes to help them and like identify how many letters of their name. It's little tricks you could do to make sure they are successful in that school environment. Even if it's a car, let that be their first word. Have them spell it out or give them little objects. We had one student, he learned the alphabet or some of the alphabet because he was mesmerized by the states. So we use the states to help us teach him if we wanted him to write about a certain topic. And we knew he was fixated on Tennessee. We allowed him to do that, just to know, just to get some writing out. So maybe first it was him doing that grade level writing on, if it's like telling a story. So how about you make a make-believe story about Tennessee? What kind of characters do you like? He was also into superheroes. So then we incorporate that just to get him feeling more comfortable. And then even though we were teaching him another skill, he was able to like verbalize some of those. Like when the teacher responded, he was also able to respond like, oh, I know that this, you're talking about character traits, and then he lists what a character trait is. What is the setting of the story? He knew a setting meant the story where the story take place. So he was able to do that, but we met his needs instead of just saying, oh, write about Nevada. We let him pick the state so he could be more intact and feel more comfortable with it. When it also comes to, and then sometimes kids just like music. That helps them.
I love music.
Me too, even to calm down. So the calming music. So make sure you realize like what strategies do you use to calm that student down? Is it the rocking? Because sometimes a lot of kids, like I even rock.
Really?
So I'm like, a lot of people rock or shake, but sometimes that helps our kids to calm down. So let the teachers know, like, rocking or them swaying, the tapping may calm. So you may, even if they have sensory issues or always like to touch things, maybe you start giving them different like types of material if it comes to like sequins, fur, just so that can help them. Because you could easily, even in a school setting, you could probably put those like on a desk so they could have it, or we could put them on a board, things of that sort to also get them calmed down. When it comes to like learning their alphabets, or there's so many toys out there that you could use, but I would just say, make sure you know your child and what triggers them. Things that's too loud, you may not want those noise toys. You may want to get like something wooden that they could build upon, of those sorts.
Okay. I appreciate you for all this information. I know that it's going to help a lot of parents out here. I've been knowing you for, I don't know, probably like 7, 8 years, seem like forever. And I've actually seen you teaching. I've seen you, love on your children. Like, those are your kids. Like, those are not your students. And you treat them like they're your kids. And you really put in the work in yourself to educate yourself more and more every year, to be able to educate them and the parents. So I commend you for that. We do need that in our community with our African American children. This will help so many. So thank you again for coming on. Pain to Purpose will definitely be donating to the school that you are at. And I will get with you on that. But thank you again for coming on. For my audience, remember that it's only pain until you discover your purpose and start your healing process. Until next time, we'll see you next Monday. Welcome to Pain to Purpose podcast, where we have open discussions together to heal as a community. This is episode 4, and this month we are talking about autism awareness. And our special guest today is Miss Monique. Welcome, Miss Monique. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm very glad to have you so that you can educate us on autism. So, as a parent, at what point did you get your child checked for autism?
My son started having some behavior challenges. I noticed something was a little bit different about him, but I was divorced, so I thought it was just the different homes. And I asked my ex-husband, and he thought I was crazy, so I kind of left it alone.
Okay.
But then he started having some severe behaviors, so then I got him assessed right before he went into kindergarten. So they labeled him with developmental delay, and then he had to go through testing again, and they actually misidentified him, but he got the medical diagnosis when he was 6 with autism.
Okay. Can you share with us some of the behaviors?
He had a lot of like aggressive behaviors. He had some repetitive behaviors as well, and he kind of had fleeting eye contact. It wasn't always consistent. He didn't play a lot with other kids his typical age as well. So that was something that we noticed as well. And so
Okay.
he got diagnosed with autism and ADHD, but now he has autism, ADHD, and he has Tourette's as well.
Okay. So when a child has autism and like if they're dealing with multiple disabilities, do they take medication to help them relax or calm them down?
Yeah, it depends on I guess the parent, if the parent wants them to take any medications. They typically would have to see like a psychiatrist or the pediatrician. My son takes medication to sleep because if he doesn't, he wouldn't be able to sleep. So like melatonin didn't work, so he takes clonidine, which is like a blood pressure medication.
Mhm.
And a lot of kids with autism take clonidine or something similar to it, or trazodone. But trazodone does the opposite to him. When he took that, he stayed awake for like close to 2 days. So it did the opposite for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do they have like certain places where kids can go that have autism, like to play so they can be around the same atmosphere? Or is it just like regular museums or amusement parks?
Yeah, just regular community places where all children go. Some parents, if the children have like severe behaviors, they sometimes tend to stay home more. But there's ABA, which is applied behavior analysis, where kiddos with autism can receive those therapies in the home, where they work with the families to take the children out in the communities, to go to the parks and
Okay.
with other typical peers. So my son has behaviors, but I always took him to parks and stuff. He doesn't like being around a lot of people. So usually just like the neighborhood park. He has specific restaurants that he likes. He doesn't do well with big crowds.
Okay.
And he likes the movie theaters, yeah.
Oh, really?
He likes to go see certain movies that come out. He loves anime. So those types of things we'll do, but he'll only do that with me or my mom or grandma.
Okay. He has his favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he likes to stay home. He doesn't really like going anywhere.
So does he have other siblings?
No, he's the only child. Well, actually, I'm married now, so yeah, he has 3 other brothers now, but they're older. But he's always been the only sibling. So he does pretty well by himself. Well, he likes being by himself.
Some of us, sometimes we like being by ourselves just
Yeah.
because.
Yeah.
So are there special toys or anything that you could recommend for parents that have children that are autistic, or maybe teachers, maybe new teachers that are in that type of classroom?
Depending on their age, I just say make sure that it's developmentally appropriate. My son has like sensory issues, and so he likes, when he was little, he liked things that kind of worked with those things. So you can make like little bins with beans, different types of sensory toys. He liked puzzles, so anything that, I guess I would get items that the child's interested in and that are appropriate to work on maybe their skills that they are delayed in. So if it's like fine motor, communication, so anything that will work on those skills. My son particularly liked Legos, and I don't know, those like those magnetic toys.
Okay.
He liked those. He still does, actually. He likes the magnetic toys. So those types of things. I know my son, he has some friends and they have autism as well. And they love video games. So as they get older, they love technology. So he loves
Really?
technology. Yeah.
So is there a community that's out there for like support, like on social media or outside of social media, where parents can get together and support each other?
I haven't really found. I know there's things on Facebook, like groups and stuff. I never really got into those, but I just used to go to like parent organizations that supported children with autism and parents to like attend their activities, or they would provide like respite. So I did that, and I would drop him off like once every 2-3 months for like 2 or 3 hours, and then I got to have like some free time by myself, and that was nice. So I would look for respite and like community organizations where families can get assistance and have some time to themselves and activities for the kids.
So there are resources out there then that can,
Yeah.
so they don't feel like they're alone and trying to deal with it by themselves. And that's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, especially for autism, there's a lot of resources out there for kids and parents.
So what about like behaviors? How do you address the behaviors that an autistic child may have?
So each child, I would say, is different. So I could speak from my son. My son, he has like sometimes physical aggression. So
Okay.
he might throw things or he might hit me. So I just try to, now I've learned like when it's gonna like escalate. So I kind of know how to de-escalate the situation so it doesn't go to that physical aggression. Um, so I will give him like some warnings, or if he's getting physically aggressive, kind of like block it or make sure that I'm in a safe area, because he's 14. So he's big and stronger than me and taller. Um, so it's about safety too. So kind of know those triggers and how not to escalate it. For little kids, I would say, especially if a parent's like struggling to really get ABA, because they'll assist and teach the parent skills. So they'll do ABA with the kiddo, but the parent is required to do parent training as well. So the parent can learn how to not reinforce those negative behaviors. So the child can learn some like coping skills. So like my son, I would say the aggression is more from the ADHD, like the impulsivity behaviors, the impulsive. So just knowing how to de-escalate and not escalate like a situation.
So is the behaviors more toward you because you're like the closest person to him, or it could be with anybody?
Generally his behaviors are when it's trying to take away something that's preferred. So like his technology or his computers, PlayStation, things like that, then he'll get upset. So it's like giving warnings, making him work for it, and like giving him choices. So that's the behaviors I get from it now. He doesn't really have any behaviors at school other than like being off
Oh,
task
that's good.
maybe with some like assignments, which is typical like kids.
Kids do that
Yeah.
regularly.
Yeah. So his behaviors are all triggered from his technology. Like if you won't give him access or you're trying to take it away. Yeah. So just giving him warnings. My son has to have like a very, well, most kiddos with autism need a routine and stick to it. So a schedule. So
I was going to ask you about that too.
he has a strict schedule, and he has ABA Monday through Friday. So they're here every evening for 2 hours, but he's on a strict schedule.
So they actually come into your home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's helpful for me because they're teaching him different skills. So my son's very, very, very smart, just delayed with social skills. And then he has some of those behaviors. So just working on those areas.
Okay. That's okay. So, is there anything that you can tell parents out here that maybe just found out that their child is autistic and maybe they're worried or nervous about the what ifs?
Mm-hmm. So every kiddo with autism is different. The earlier you're able to get therapies is better. So just also make sure that they have those resources at school. So if they qualify for special education services, that they're receiving those supports at school as well. And then also in the home doing ABA, if speech therapy is necessary, occupational therapy. So all the assistance that you can get to help you as a parent learn if your child has behaviors, or to work on social skills and communication. So communication is key, because if some children with autism are nonverbal, so providing them and teaching them a communication system will also decrease those problem behaviors.
So does it get like, can the behaviors get, or have you seen it in your child where the behaviors got worse as he got older?
With my son, no, they haven't got worse as he got older, but I think some kiddos it can. It depends if you're reinforcing the behavior, and if they're not they don't have a communication system, then you'll see more behaviors, but not my son. The concern with my son is he's getting older and bigger and stronger, so can really hurt me or someone. So that's the concern. But other than that, no. But his behaviors aren't like frequent. And so I've learned now to where it doesn't get to that physical aggression. So, for example, if he like shouts, then that's like like, okay, like a warning sign. Okay, let's like take a break, or, so it doesn't get to that physical aggression.
So when you first found out, can you tell us what your feelings were? Were you kind of like scared?
Um,
Or did you already know about autism?
I was actually relieved, because the school was trying to they labeled him emotional disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was confused. So I say I was relieved, and I just wanted help. So I wanted help at the school, and then in the home to get him the right therapies. I would say it was hard. You have a time of like grief, or some parents are in denial. So everyone has their own stages, but yeah, I just wanted help because it's a lot, going to different appointments. And once he got diagnosed, he was in ABA, and he had occupational therapy. So I was taking him there as well, and then the regular doctor appointments, which is a lot.
So what do parents do, like, or do you know like what parents would do if they feel like they're not getting the support they need? Would that be like to change doctors, or maybe talk to the certain person at the school that would help, the resource teacher, or?
Yeah, I would switch doctors, and I would try to speak to the school social worker to see if there's like any other resources, things. As a parent, you know your child the best. So if you're in disagreement with something, I would continue to get like a second or a third opinion always. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then like for safety, did you have to do any like extra safety measures, like extra locks on the door, the front door, or like anything like that?
I didn't, because my son's not a runner, but I know some families that have kiddos with autism where they have like a bolt on the doors and like keys so that the kiddos can't escape at night or things like that. So yeah, so every case is different. Every child's different. So yeah, there are some times where it's necessary to do that depending on the child. That's the unique thing about children with autism. Every person with autism is different.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast to educate us. This has really been helpful. I'm sure that there's a lot of parents out there that this will help. Maybe they just found out their child is autistic, or maybe they're not even sure of what to do. So all the information that you have given us today is very helpful. Thank you very much. I know your schedule is very busy, and you took out time to educate us. So I really want to say thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm happy to share my experience of having a child with autism.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I want to say to my audience that if you, just as she stated, if you feel like you're not getting the help that you need with your child, please reach out to the school, the social worker, and check with your doctor so that you can get the services that you do need. And also remember that this is Pain to Purpose podcast. And it's only pain until you realize and discover your purpose and start your healing journey. Until next time, we'll see you next Monday.
Thank you.